He thinks that several means 7. And there's a whole conversation at Tribal.
Well,
So, like,
when I think several, I think
do this
7
to me.
or more.
Do not do this
I
to
usually
me.
think like 10.
It's 3 or more.
Really?
It's beyond a few is several.
I'm about to look it up.
But a few for me is like 3 to 5, bro. Like 1 to 5.
Beyond a few is several.
Let's
We
have a
can't do
neutral
this.
party.
Anyway, I
I'm
only
not
heard
going to do this.
I only heard it was unhinged because I was listening
several
to the
is
besties.
7, 8, or 9.
Absolutely not. No. Revisionist history, bro. That's ridiculous.
History is written by the victors. Moi.
Coming to you from Crunchyroll HQ, this is The Anime Effect. Each week, we bring you the latest news and views from the shows you love. It's pop culture with an anime lens. Today, we are talking about a very special anime that just took the Guinness World Record for the most in-demand, not just anime, but overall animated TV show.
Oh.
Can you guess what it is? Don't say it.
I was surprised, but also not surprised.
Kind of same. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we've got a switch up for the live-action One Punch Man movie. That's right. That's happening. And more anime news from the week. And for our main story this week, after weeks of
Isekai
jamming
button.
the Isekai button, we're going to keep doing it in the main story. But no, we've actually gotten some questions about, like, can we dive a little deeper into Isekai?
Yep.
So, like, we're going to give, like, kind of an abridged history, some of the quintessential shows, and talk about why people love the genre so much. So yeah, we're breaking down Isekai in our main story. I'm your host, Nick Friedman.
It's me, LeAlec Murray.
And I'm Leah President.
And we're here once again to see just how powerful the effect of anime really is. Who watched Kaiju number 8 this week?
I did.
So I specifically set an alarm to make sure that I was up when the live broadcast happened.
Mm-hmm.
It was super cool. This gave me so many like Toonami Saturday morning cartoon kind of feels where it's like I'm getting up at 9 o'clock to watch this specific show. I'm going to have a time. The only difference is now I can actually see what's happening around the internet while it's happening.
Yep.
Because previously, as we were growing up, we did not have the kind of access.
Bring
What do you
back
mean?
live tweeting.
But
Bring back live tweeting.
But it was legitimately like a moment for sure.
Yeah.
I love
So
those.
if you're wondering what we're talking about, so Crunchyroll live broadcast
Yep.
the first episode of Kaiju number 8 with subtitles at the exact same time as it was airing on Japanese television.
Yep.
So it's like a legitimate moment by moment simulcast. The ad breaks were timed to the Japan ad breaks.
as
So-
close as you can possibly
Yes,
get
yes.
it.
Yes, as close as you can possibly get it. And yeah, I also got up and watched it just because I was like, I gotta see what this is like to watch anime as it's airing. And it was awesome. I can't wait to see how they adapt the rest of this kind of first part of the series. But yeah, so new episodes are going to stream weekly.
Yeah, weekly.
As they happen in Japan.
Yeah.
And then, of course, day and date dub that'll
Yep.
drop after that. And of course, it's streaming on Crunchyroll. If you checked out the live broadcast, let us know in the comments.
Please.
I'm curious if people saddled up with their cereal and
I did, man. It was a moment. It was a moment.
Yeah, it was
with their
super
bananas and Shock Tards.
Yeah.
And just...
fun. Oh no. Oh no.
I hope you have not relived that in your adulthood.
No, but I did have a lot of Sour Patch Kids yesterday.
Oh, well, you see, yeah.
We're gonna get like 1,000-yard stare from the citric acid. Next up, we're going to get into the news. You know, we like to keep you on the latest, including JUJUTSU Kaisen's continued domination in the anime world and the pop culture world. How Gundam is celebrating its 45th anniversary.
Damn.
Yeah, damn. Wow. And a new clothing collab for Spy Family. I'm so excited about that one. So all that in just a sec. All right, so let's get into these headlines. The first story, it's a little hard for me to swallow. It's a little tough for me. So, Nick, you take this away.
I was going to take it anyway.
Because he's the newsman.
Our first story this week, Guinness World Records has named JUJUTSU Kaisen the most in-demand anime, the most popular anime, basically. So just recently, JJK was officially named the most in-demand, not just anime, but animated television show. Guinness World Records calculates demand by looking at how much like attention or engagement or like kind of like general fan desire.
That's cool. We have a metrics for that.
Yeah, I do want
Yeah.
to see the metrics for that.
Fact check.
Fact check.
Fact check Guinness.
No, but
Not that I don't believe it, but there are a lot of movers and shakers in the anime industry. So
true, and of course, viewership for the show as it's expressed by fans. Oh, it actually says it right here, calculated by Parrot Analytics. So shout out Parrot Analytics,
All right.
I guess.
Parrot.
But yeah, so
Bird.
I'm just going to stop there before I give Leah the bad news that they were referring to.
I
But
already know.
well, I mean, just from hearing that, like, what do you guys think? Like, does this line up with what you see in the
No,
fan experience?
actually, like it
Really?
no, actually, to be completely honest,
I
with
thought
you,
it would be
like,
One Piece.
especially with the surge that One Piece is on right now, right?
Yeah.
Like you thought it would be One Piece or like or a Dragon Ball or
Yeah.
something like that. But then you think about it, and both of those shows essentially are kind of legacy shows. Like they've been around for a while.
Mhm.
And
Naruto even.
yeah, Naruto, Bleach, like there's so many shows like that could be in that category of most in-demand anime. But I think it also has to do with accessibility, because we talk about that all the time. Like it's also one of the most popular selling mangas as well too.
Mhm.
Mm.
So I think that plays a lot into it, and people just like actively seeking it out.
I think for me, this completely aligns with kind of what I'm seeing in the anime community, which is these conversations about shows like Jujutsu Kaisen and the hold on culture. I mean, we
Mhm.
talked about it with the Eclipse last week. Like, they're happening all the time
Mhm.
and in all of the places where, you know, for example, like me and you might not be
Right.
from a social media perspective.
Right.
And so I think, you know, obviously part of that is colored by what we see online, what we
Mhm.
see on forums or social media. But I think it's the fact that there is probably a large younger fan base.
I think so too. I think
is
that
with
plays a lot
JJK
into it.
that may not be with some of those other shows.
Right.
It's
That's a good
because
point.
of Fortnite.
Right. No, that's a good point.
Fortnite
because-
is a good call out
no,
too.
like both of those are very good call outs. I mean, because, you know, kids are always going to drive the metric, right? Like, you know, when I was working in video games, like it was yes, you had to sell to the kids, but you had to sell to the parent more because they had the pocketbook.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that because my sister actually asked me for $20 to get the Gojo skin. a
Yeah,
couple
see, there you
weeks
go.
Right there.
ago. So I
There you
was
go,
like,
right there. But
Yeah,
then to
I
your-
support that. I will invest in that
Right.
for you.
But to your Fortnite point, you know, they made a really big, anytime anything shows up on Fortnite, Epic makes a really big deal out of it. But I think with anime, I think there's a specific amount of attention that's put on it. Because you think about it, right? When Dragon Ball showed up, when Naruto showed up, when Jujutsu showed up, it felt like they dialed it up
Mhm.
just
yeah.
a little bit more.
And the fan base is like that group is larger than ever before.
Yeah.
So, you know, Dragon Ball may have taken this record or Naruto may have taken this record when it was airing.
Right.
But when you think about now, I mean, the fact that this was calculated during the Shibuya incident arc,
Mm-hmm.
for example, like
Mhm.
you couldn't turn anywhere in anime conversation
Right.
without seeing someone mention JJK.
Right.
And I actually think it's interesting. So here's the bad news, Leah, for you. JJK takes the title from Attack on Titan, which had actually been holding that record since 2020.
Oh, dang.
When you think about final season
Easily.
airing and all of that.
Oh,
So
dang.
Yeah.
how do you feel about that?
I'm in mourning. I'm in mourning.
Gosh, you know, 4 years of holding a world record isn't good enough.
No, it's not. It'll always be number one in my heart.
Fair.
So, with that said, because Attack on Titan held it for 4 years,
Mhm.
how long do you actually see Jujutsu holding on to it? Because we know Jujutsu's not
Ooh.
ending anytime soon.
I actually think it'll probably stay up there because I think the conversation around Jujutsu Kaisen, I mean, the seasons are relatively digestible
Mhm.
from a viewing time standpoint. The
Mhm.
content itself is like, it gives me anxiety.
It's
So-
dark.
Yeah, 100%.
But like people are going to rewatch it. People are going to clip moments. People are going to talk about it. I think about it the way that like when Game of Thrones was at its peak, and even when it wasn't airing, if you looked at like volume of conversation,
Yeah, the
among
conversation
fans,
was still going.
people were always talking about it,
Yeah.
theorizing what was going to happen next.
Yep.
This is a little bit different because as far as the anime goes, it's been sticking fairly closely to the manga.
Right.
Whereas Game of Thrones, obviously,
Did
anything was game against the books. But
not.
but I don't know. I think we also just live in a totally different world now where
Yeah.
like it could be out tomorrow or
That's true.
we could be saying
That's
the
true.
same thing in 10 years.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
speaking about another anime that we've been talking about for a really long time,
Mhm.
One Punch Man. So we got some news this week that the live action One Punch Man movie,
honestly,
the live action One Punch Man movie is happening.
I honestly forgot it was even announced.
Funny.
So yeah, here we are.
But we finally got an update on it that Dan Harmon, creator of Community, I love Community, and Heather Ann Campbell, who has worked on like the Eric Andre show.
The show is so unhinged.
I know.
Best talk show in existence.
So unhinged.
They're going to rewrite the script.
Oh,
So,
that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see like who has been brought in, their background, the comedy background that they have, the type of comedy. We're talking unhinged comedy, surrealism comedy.
Because that's basically what One Punch is. So this makes sense. They would call these two people in to be like, hey, the script is okay where it's at.
Yep.
But we really need to meet the source material.
Yeah.
I feel like after One Piece live action came out, I'm much more willing to give this a fair shot.
Yeah, I would agree.
And just see, be open-minded and see what they put together. Because up until then, I didn't have the most enthusiastic attitude towards live actions. Just because we've seen them go wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, but I think one of the things that has changed, and one of the things that I love about the One Piece live action, is you have people who grew up with the series
that
working
care
on
about it.
You have fans that care about it, who are now in a position to create that art and bring that to life.
We can do something about it.
Yeah. And they're, when you do see success in that space, they then have power with the studios and the execs to make the right adjustments to say hey, we don't actually have to apologize for what anime is or does. We can bring that to life on the big screen the way that we did with comic book movies or westerns.
That's a great point.
Right? I think one of the things that I've really loved about this project, we don't know a lot about it, but we do know that Justin Lin, who directed my favorite Fast and the Furious movie, Tokyo Drift, and Star Trek Beyond, which
I love Star Trek
totally
Beyond,
rips.
It's so good. I don't think people have the same sentiment for that movie.
No, they super don't.
But it's so good.
It's so good. It's basically a space Fast and Furious movie.
Yeah, it is. That's fine.
But yeah, so Justin Lin is directing.
Yeah.
And when you think about action and over the top
set pieces, he would be the perfect guy to do that right now.
Yep.
Because that's all of his movies have been like that recently. It's all big explosions, set pieces. Why do we have cars in space? All this random stuff, right? So I feel like he's the perfect one to tap into the appeal of One Punch is that it's so random on top of it being just a power fantasy story, right? And that's kind of what you need, is somebody that can give you big moments. And then you have, Dan Harmon and Heather Ann coming in and saying, hey, we're going to give you the comedy bits too.
Yep.
So I think there's, to your point, Leah, I think this is probably worth giving a chance to, because you have the right pieces in place, right? Which also kind of gives me faith for the Naruto live action that we know is happening as well. So there's a lot of people in positions that are, on creative teams that are making sure that this kind of, it pops off where it needs to be, hopefully.
Yeah. We'll see what other updates come out of it, but I'm excited to just see where this goes.
Yeah.
But real quick, and we can't sit on this one for a while, but we have to give an update on Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I know we were all hoping that Hayden Christensen was going to be voicing Shadow, but Keanu Reeves is going to voice Shadow the Hedgehog.
My goodness.
It's such a good pick, bro. It's such a good pick. I don't know who I wanted for this, to be completely honest.
You didn't want Hayden Christensen?
Well, no, I'm saying I didn't know who I wanted. I mean, if it was Hayden Christensen, I would have been like, yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to put a gratuitous Matrix bend in it. I'm already calling it.
No, they are.
Okay.
I feel like they already have. I feel like the first Sonic movie had a Matrix
It did.
dodge in
did.
So they'll run it back.
They're going to run it back. $5 if it's in the movie. And the listeners. I'm going to be rich.
I thought you said you're going to give them all $5.
No.
There's going to be news stories about this podcast. If Shadow does a Matrix bend, 10.6 million. I don't know. Do we have that many listeners?
No, we don't.
No.
But no, you're right. There will be a gratuitous Matrix reference, and that's fine. Here's the thing, and we can move off this.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
And another thing.
For our main story this week, Lee talks about Keanu Reeves.
I wax poetic about Sonic for 3 hours. No, but think about the cast, the voice cast for this movie, including Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's I didn't know I wanted these people in a movie together, and now I have them.
Yep.
So I think this is absolutely fantastic. I'm so excited.
Jim Carrey's like a fun cryptid nowadays too. His projects are
like
so
a
few
fun
and far
cryptid.
between. Yeah.
Yeah, he just shows up when he wants to, does some fun stuff,
It's
and
just
then
so
leaves.
fun that he chose to do this.
I agree.
It's just great.
Speaking of fun, how about Gundam?
I don't know, buddy.
Pass.
Fun gun.
Hard pass.
All right, Lee, you should take this one. You're the Gundam guy.
Gundam Anime shares big plans for 45th anniversary, and they show off some cool celebratory art.
This art looks really.
It looks like the eclipse.
I know.
It's so good. So the artwork that we are referring to it's a picture of RX-78 2, and a new moon. It's a very like cool, like just stoic, like
I want to post.
look at me.
Yeah,
same,
like
dude.
let me
It
get
does
this
look sick.
printed out on
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a
yeah.
wall scroll.
Yeah. So there were a ton of in-person events in Japan for this to celebrate, art showcases, empty Gunpla recycling events, anything that you can and or display for Gundam was celebrated as a part of this. And it's so great because a part of this announcement as well too was that they're also in the 30th anniversary pocket for G Gundam, which is my favorite Gundam. But there's also going to be a new G Gundam project as part of this 30th/45th anniversary thing that's happening. I'm honestly really surprised that we didn't get like any more announcements around this as well too, outside of like
this
the
is
30th
just
stuff.
kicking it off.
It's just a kickoff. But the Gundam Seed movie, I believe, is in theaters right now as well too. So there's a lot of Gundam that's happening, and I think there'll be a lot of other Gundam stuff that'll happen.
Especially one of the things I'm excited about is like Witch from Mercury kind of really like re-energized my love for Gundam.
Yeah, because I think
And
people
picked up a whole bunch of new fans from
Yeah.
it really did.
that aren't into the genre
Yeah.
even.
I think like so for reference, like I think Unicorn did a lot of kind of reactivating people. They're like, oh, Gundam is still a
Is
thing.
that the button? The
Yeah, it's
reactivate button?
button. But I think Witch from Mercury, to you guys' point, pulled in a lot of new fans, reactivated a genre that you already loved. And I'm just excited with to see what they do with this going forward.
More Suletta.
Yeah, all of it. And I know they just retired the moving RX-78 that was.
I hate that I didn't get to see it in real life.
Celebration.
Are you talking about like the giant?
Yeah, the giant
the
moving
full size one.
Yeah.
Dude, that's so cool.
Yeah, they had like when they retired it, like it moved and did like a little salute and did like the bend down, and I was
It
like,
got
oh
sturdy.
my God.
The fact that I didn't get to Japan to just listen to that OG theme song
Yeah.
and see that thing move in person,
Yeah,
I'm upset.
Yeah.
I'm
See
upset.
that thing move in person.
Next up, Bait,
Yeah.
the streetwear brand,
Yep. Shout out to Bait. Love those cats.
has dropped a Spy Family line.
It's so good.
It's really good.
It is so
good.
cute.
There is this one shirt that has
The t-shirt?
Anya and the
Oh.
giant penguin.
Oh, I
on
need
it.
that hoodie, bro.
yeah.
It's so
That's
good.
what I'm thinking
It's
about.
t-shirt and hoodie. Yeah. It's so I mean, look, if you're gonna go see the movie and you need something for the ooting, as Anya would put it, I mean, look no further. Like these look pretty sweet. I always love it when an anime graphic line actually looks really good. If you want to check out the full collection, head over to Crunchyroll News.
You were talking about going on an ooting for the movie. I wonder if it's going to start a renaissance of people getting peanuts at the movie theater for the first time in like 40 years. Like they're going to bring out the old crusty bag from the
theater
bag.
workers are like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like we're already cleaning like popcorn, mustard, ketchup, refuse.
Yeah.
Like
Dude,
just
people have
so
the
much.
worst theater etiquette. They be leaving like the full bucket in the chair.
It's
Could
like
not be me.
people eat at the movies like they're at medieval times.
Yes.
It's
like
weird.
they're like, I can throw all this on the ground and it'll suck into the floor,
Yeah.
smart
Is it
house
just-
It goes
style.
into the-
Like
It
Smart
feeds
house
the
reference.
beast that lives under the staircase.
that's right. On this day, we have made a
a.
Disney Channel original movie Smart House
Yep.
reference.
Yeah,
If you haven't seen it, I
Oh,
think
I
it's on
didn't even
Disney
catch
Plus.
that.
it is. Yeah.
Okay. It's main story time. You guys ready to talk about Isekai anime for a bit here?
Faux show.
get out the giant isekai button and put it on the table.
I want to be able to die and go to a world where I can talk about isekai every day, all the time.
That's here.
Oh
That's
my
wait,
God.
yeah,
It's
but
working at
you
Crunchyroll.
didn't have to die.
Yeah.
For it.
I'm alive.
For our main story this week, we are breaking down the isekai genre, its history, its inspirations, its standout shows, and of course, talking about some of our favorites.
For sure.
So Lee is going to take us through that coming up next. Isekai, isekai, isekai,
But-
Isekai. Have you ever seen that study about like the power of chanting?
No.
Oh.
Is that like if a large crowd starts chanting something, they'll do it?
It's like the psychology of like why people chant.
Huh.
So like Tron Legacy 4K
I don't know if
release,
it's an official
Tron
study,
Legacy
but it was
4K
in like an
release.
essay.
Hey, if we chatted enough, it'll happen.
I feel like it's going to happen because
It's
they're
got
doing
to.
a new movie.
Yeah, it's got to. All right. Isekai. Isekai recently was welcomed into the Oxford English Dictionary. Webster's Dictionary.
We can't do it every episode.
We can't. A Japanese genre of science or fantasy fiction featuring a protagonist who is transported to or reincarnated in a different, strange, or unfamiliar world. That is the Oxford English Dictionary definition.
I wish that was me.
I wish that were me.
This sounded.
God,
this,
I wish that were me.
Okay, so
as he gives this mile yard stare.
So okay, people listening or watching at home, like if you know with isekai, right?
Yep.
You if when we say the word isekai, you know what it means. You know the anime that kind of fall under that category. For those that don't know, for newer anime fans, for curious fans, what was the start of isekai? Like, where does isekai trace its origins back to?
So there's a lot of discourse, right, of where it started. There always is. But some argue that Dante Alighieri's poem, Dante's Inferno.
Oh.
But that's a lot of where people say the isekai genre kind of kicked off.
Does that count?
Started its baby seed.
I mean, I guess depending on your beliefs, heaven, hell, and purgatory, are they different realms and worlds?
I guess.
Or are they layers of... Or this is getting really...
Yeah, let's get into it.
We're getting really meta about
I'm
this.
thinking like, if we're thinking about like older texts and stories, would Alice in Wonderland count? I mean, she doesn't die, but she does get transported.
I would say yes. I think Alice in Wonderland
it's
is a
definitely
great,
isekai. For sure.
early example, at least early Western example of like this concept of being transported to another world.
Most consider the story of Urashima Taro as the first isekai story, which is a fairy tale about a fisherman who, after rescuing a turtle from harm, is rewarded with a trip to the Dragon Palace under the ocean. When he emerges from the ocean, he finds out he hasn't been gone for days like he thought. Instead, 100 years have passed.
Jump scare.
I wonder if this inspired Avatar: The Last Airbender.
It's possible. It's possible.
So the story of Urashima Taro, the idea that he goes to the Dragon Palace under the ocean. Again, I think my question is like, is this Dragon Palace exist in another realm, or is it on the same Earth that we know of? Because we talked about this last week, I think, where a time travel element, it's not really necessarily time travel, but like time having passed, kind of like Freyren, isn't considered isekai, right?
It's more in line with like fantasy, like core fantasy or sci-fi.
Or even just the time travel genre.
Depending on the narrative, it could be sci-fi too.
True.
Like, what's the movie where Matthew McConaughey is like, floating space?
Interstellar? Wow. That was, you want to take that again?
That was like a
what does
bad
he do in the movie?
summation of what the topics of that movie actually are.
The fact that they did it and you got it, that's all you need right there.
Yeah, I saw it connect in your eyes when I went, whoa.
There was a specific connection there. It was just like, and then it just happened.
Interstellar. But no, I think you bringing up that a lot of people consider that to be the origin, especially in Japan, is just this idea that there is the world that we know and the story and the life that we know, and then something happens in the story and that completely changes, right? You could trace a lot of different genres back to an origin point like that. When you think about it, like Fallout, for example.
I love Fallout.
Where the world is destroyed in nuclear war and then it's about the people living afterwards. Like, to me, that follows a similar narrative, but it might not necessarily be considered isekai.
Right.
So I guess my next question there is like, knowing that it's kind of like a keystone story.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think makes isekai so appealing to, not even just anime fans? We know there's a lot of isekai in anime, but these kinds of stories in other media.
I think the appeal is specifically geared towards people that are like, if I had this opportunity, like if I had the opportunity to restart my life, what would I do? You know how like a lot of shonen plays into the more like power fantasy bit of it. Isekai is more of the, I'm getting a second chance.
Mm-hmm.
What can I do with the second chance? Because that's a lot of where the stories are based, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I needed slime, for instance. I'm reincarnated as a slime. What can I do? What are my powers? How can I make myself better than
once I stop freaking out?
Once I start
Yeah.
freaking out that I'm, no longer human, quote unquote, like how can I change my life for the better?
Right. With all the knowledge.
With the knowledge that I have.
Because it doesn't always lead, like, you're not always like getting hit by the isekai bus and going straight into like a hero's journey night adventure in another world. Some of them are just like easy, like I died in this world at like Fluffy Paradise. Like I died in this world and now like I'm surrounded by cute animals and my mission is to just pet all of them.
Yeah, the main character was specifically like, do not bring me back for no BS. I just want to pet animals. That's it. I want to live my life as easy as possible.
So I know that reincarnation is a big piece of this. We also know that being summoned in another world also counts for isekai. But I think about a show like Oshinoko, where reincarnation is playing into the story. Episode 1 spoilers. Is that isekai?
I think so.
But it's not a different world.
But it's not a different world.
You are reincarnated into the same world.
Well, how different are our lives from those of celebrities? Some may say we come from a different world. Anyway, no,
I'm kind of.
Did I sell it?
I don't know.
Did I eat?
But I think what we're getting to is that, there's isekai, right? There are very clear examples of isekai, quintessential isekai anime. Inuyasha, Slime. You mentioned Slime. Overlord, Mushoku Tensei, Konosuba.
Oh my God, would Spirited Away count as an isekai? Because she enters that portal and like
she is in another world,
goes into a whole other world and is trying to like escape that world with her parents.
We're not scholars.
Don't pretend to be.
We don't have our master's
In my layman's
degrees.
Opinion, I qualify it. Stamp.
I don't see why it's not. It wouldn't be though.
I'm not going to say it is. I'm not going to say it's not. But you make a compelling argument.
They know.
You're an all-star.
They know.
And then of course like reverse isekais. Devil is a part-timer.
Yeah,
love that. So
you
funny. We've talked
like,
about that on the show.
Sasuke and Peeps, where like Sasuke is able to go back and forth, right? So and the thing about this genre too is that it just continues to evolve, I think. So you brought up before where it's like, people just being, summoned to another world. I mean, the one that comes to mind first is Shield Hero.
Yeah.
And he's summoned, he's given the shield and immediately outcasted, right?
But the world is aware.
But the world is aware that they are, they're not from, their plane of existence. I just started watching, what's the one this season? Chilling in Another World.
With my level 2
with my level 2
powers.
super cheap power. Yeah, I started watching that because I was like, I see what it's about because I was just, binging anime.
That's
this
me
past
playing
weekend.
The Sims.
And
Motherload.
Right. And the same thing happens to the main character there too. Like he gets summoned to be this hero and they immediately outcast him because the next person they summon has all these stats. And then they're like, nope, you have to go live in this death forest. And then he immediately becomes OP. And he's like, oh, okay, well, I got to find a job and I got to find a place to live.
Gosh, ain't that right?
Yeah, us leaving college and going into the real world.
Right. Yeah, we are actually when you leave college or isekai,
you have to go into
because you have to go into the real world.
We're getting too
get a job.
Here. But no, I mean, we have mentioned a lot of different shows in just the last minute.
So many shows. So much isekai.
Why do you think people feel like there's too much isekai?
It's with any other popular genre, right? So the only thing I can really compare it to is the superhero genre that's in film right now.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people, especially in the advent of like streaming becoming more popular, you saw a lot more companies like, Disney and Marvel here.
Yeah.
They were like, we're just going to start pumping out as much superhero content as possible. And to a point to where, people are like, okay, stop.
Yeah.
Just stop. And that's kind of where it kind of got to be with Isekai too.
It could be because like people have a different idea of like what the ideal world is to like be reborn into.
Yeah.
So it's like one size doesn't fit all with Isekai. You kind of have to find like some people are going to be really into like sword art, for example, with like epic battles and like a mission to reach the top of the tower.
And gaming.
Yeah. And gamers love it. But some people, like I said earlier, just want to like pet fluffy animals or cook a bunch of different foods and sit by a river, you know.
I think you bring up a good point. Like, I always hesitate. Like, we got a question about this earlier in the show of like, there's too much anime coming out. I'm like, there's always going to be too much of anything.
Right.
I think the idea for me here is kind of what you were touching on, which is like, one, you don't have to watch all of it.
No.
Two,
period.
Don't let the long titles that are kind of like an in-joke sway you from what might be a really great story. Like That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime has one of the strongest narratives.
Oh, 100%.
Not just isekai anime, but like just fantasy anime, like fantasy action. Like, you know, you're not going to get the same emotional feeling and stakes as something like Friedman, but it's a great show.
But it tells a solid story.
It tells a really solid story.
I've had to defend it before. People are like, what is this show? What is this title? I'm like, it's actually very good.
It's actually one of the best things you'll watch in your life.
Actually, it's very good.
So I think like if you don't watch isekai currently, or you've only watched some of the bigger shows, like Leah was saying, think about the things that if you had all the time in the world, what would you do? Like, would you open a shop? Would you just get really into cooking? Would you turn into a vending machine? Like,
reincarnated as a vending machine. This show is so fun, bro.
Let us know in the comments. Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, but I think like no, I don't think there's too much. I do know that like look, genres can get oversaturated from a business standpoint.
Yeah, of course.
In 2017, like I think it was Katakawa who like was basically saying that like other world stories didn't qualify for their novel contest just because they were getting so many. Like you said, everyone has an example of who they might want to be in another world or what they might want to do. And that can make for a compelling story.
Right. And I think what's happening now as the genre is matured, kind of like any other genre, right? It's like
fine wine.
The stories are being told different, right? As the genre evolves, the stories are evolving, and you're starting to actually, you're starting to get out of the, I guess the stereotype of what isekai is I think is what I'm trying to get at, because people just see it as you're reincarnated, you got hit by Truck-kun, or you like whatever, right? And it's like, oh, hey, I'm back, and you're just, this OP character. But there are isekai now where it's like, yeah, I'm here, but I have to figure out how to live my life.
Or how to figure out how to get back.
Or I'm trying to figure out how to actively get back, right? So the genre has changed and evolved where there's so many good stories.
Before we roll into recommendations for the week, I got to know, do you guys have like a number one isekai? You get one answer.
One? Oh,
number one isekai.
It's slime, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, reincarnated as a slime is just like, because it kind of gives me everything I'm looking for, man. It's funny. It's got great action. The like sense of camaraderie between, Rimuru and like his court, I guess. It's so great.
It is a court now.
And then just the overall, like, how he looked at his life, like after he figured out that there was no coming back from it. He was like, I have to make the best of this. And that also means that I have to like figure out how to live my life, figure out how my powers work, figure out how I can do different things within the world that like make it work for me.
Yeah. And
how do I better people while I'm going, henceforth him making friends with a big evil dragon. But, it's neither here nor there. What about you guys?
We already talked about it, I think, a while back, but I am like pro reverse isekai, so definitely Devil is a Part-Timer. Like that one to me was laugh out loud funny.
Oh yeah, that first season, like when
that
first season hit, it was like
it took over. It was very, very fun. Like just the concept itself is just hysterical. But
I know I said I only can give one answer, but I'm gonna do one. It's probably Konosuba.
Yeah.
Like my easy answer is Digimon from like a storytelling perspective. I love Digimon. I think it's timeless. Konosuba really leans into the stereotypical isekai setup, and then kind of dismantles it in like a really funny, well-written slapstick. I consider it like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah, it does it on purpose. It does it on purpose.
It's doing it on purpose. And the new season's honestly,
I was just going to ask, have you started watching the new season? It's so great.
Yeah, because I guess episode 1's out. I laughed out loud like 3 times, and my wife was like, "What are you doing?" Like, this show is so funny.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
What's his name? Kazuma's like trying to become a monk in the first episode. They come upon the like siren plant girl.
Yeah.
He's like, don't these things want to kill us?
Right.
And they're all like, we gotta help her. And he's like, I don't know.
I don't know about all that.
Yeah, I love how he goes back and he figures out that she's like super evil.
She's like smoking a cigarette.
Right.
Like,
he's like,
he comes back with the mallet. And then it's not explained.
I'm laughing like I've seen it.
You gotta watch it.
I'm
You
like,
gotta watch it.
I remember
It's so
that.
good.
You gotta watch it.
It's so good.
Well, cool. If you have your number one isekai anime of all time, let us know in the comments,
For sure.
wherever you're watching, or leave a exclusively 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. I think let's head into recommendations for the week, y'all.
Let's do it.
Good stuff going on. All right, recommendations for this week, guys.
Yes.
What have y'all been watching, listening, reading, exploring, playing?
Outside of my new Helldivers obsession.
Nice. Welcome. Welcome to Super Earth.
For democracy. Monkey Man. I got a chance to see Monkey Man
So
this past
good.
weekend.
Dev Patel.
No spoilers.
Directorial debut.
Dev Patel. This dude.
It's crazy.
Outside of it being his debut and like writing and producing and breaking various bones while filming the show or the movie, if you want just a pure, just like very much in the same way as like getting a Keanu Reeves or like God, was it? I always call him Action Man because
Jason
Statham. Thank you.
Oh.
But yeah, so like you would get with like Keanu Reeves and John Wick or Jason Statham in any of his like
Transporter, Crank.
Yeah, exactly. It's very much
Beekeeper.
Beekeeper was great. It's very much in that same pocket where you're going specifically to watch a kick-ass beat 'em up revenge story.
Yeah.
Like that's it. That's literally what it is. You're not going into
That's
it.
the sign at the door that's like, this is what you're here for.
This is what you're here
Expectations set.
for. Right. And I mean, and there is a story behind it, right?
And cool shots.
And like great shots. Like all the fight scenes and fight choreography is done like really, really well.
They had the John Wick people on that.
Yeah. So,
nice.
I mean, and that's kind of the people you get in the industry now, right? Like even Marvel uses them like pretty frequently to do their fight choreography. But I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Definitely worth a watch. And it's a little shy of 2 hours, maybe a little over 2 hours. Like
Perfect movie length.
Yeah. But your classic like hero revenge story.
Love it.
And
all you needed to say was Dev Patel. I'd watch anything with Dev Patel.
Yeah, he's so great. He's having quite the
He's
run.
such a good actor. He's like really talented.
But if we're gonna tie this to anime, if you want something that's in that same kind of action vein, King and Hashira, that's a good one. I started watching that. Super brutal, my God. And then Windbreaker, which is one of my standouts for spring season. So if you want to watch some people get punched in the face, but you're not gonna have a chance to make it to the movies anytime soon, it's some anime for you.
Yeah.
We could talk about Monkey Man even more off camera because
we can.
The story,
We definitely can.
story of it getting made is insane.
It's
like
incredible.
They started filming right in the middle of the pandemic,
Yep.
lost their funding, lost their location in India. The whole country was locked down, so like they couldn't bring in enough actors. So like every camera person is in the scene. Every producer is on camera, like acting in the scene.
Wild.
The
they
writer
had,
strike,
yeah,
like,
they
affected
lost
it
their
too.
budget.
Yep.
So like, I think Dev told a story about how like there's a scene where like they're breaking a bunch of tables. You know what I'm talking about? They had to glue it back together in between scenes because they didn't have the budget to get a new table.
Gosh.
The producer ran up his personal credit card to buy the glassware.
Oh, man.
Like insane stuff. Like they lost their equipment, so he like made a dolly out of a rope. Like so much stuff happened.
Yeah.
Anyway. Nick, do you have your recommendation?
Is your recommendation also Monkey Man?
It can be. I mean, we spent my time talking about it, so I can surrender mine.
Well, my recommendation is Monkey Man. No, I haven't seen it yet. I like I said, I love Dev Patel, but I have not gotten a chance to see it yet.
My recommendation is Wolfman.
All right. My recommendation this
AKA
week.
B stars.
So Caitlin and I have just been getting really into Survivor.
I was a Survivor kid growing up. Like
I was
my
definitely a
mom
Survivor
watched
kid.
it.
Me and my
so-
sister. It was like like Survivor Day.
Oh,
Have dinner,
classic
watch
Survivor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I
The
forgot
whole family.
Yep.
how, in a lot of ways, it's like the best of American reality television because so much of reality TV in America is very like sensational and like anger and frustration focused, and the producers play up a lot of stuff. They do that in Survivor,
Right.
but the personalities and relationships that develop among the castaways is just like something that we don't get to see a lot in a lot of reality TV. It's always, they're always pitted against each other, but getting to see the dynamic of
the drama at Tribal.
yeah,
Right,
we're
yeah,
like
tribal
you know,
drama is
like
so
one of the
good.
most recent episodes, one of the guys, Ben, has a panic attack in the middle of the night,
Oh wow.
which was the first time I've ever seen like a legitimate real panic attack on reality television. And one of the other castaways wakes up and is like comforting him, and they just like hang out by the fire until like things chill out and they go to sleep. And I was like, that is one of the most real moments I've ever seen on reality TV.
Wow.
And as someone who's experienced those things, like it was really cool to see that.
Yeah.
And for it to not be played for laughs or like, man, what happened last night? That was crazy. Like it was just, this is a thing. We acknowledge it. We move on. And of course, the physical challenges are always fun to watch. They're a lot less crazy than I feel like they used to be.
Oh,
where it
yeah.
was like,
Well,
you
'cause
have to eat this tarantula.
They have to. Well, you know what? You got to think about it. It has to be more muted now. Like I think when
Yeah.
Survivor started, they were like, let's do the most unhinged, unholy stuff that we could
Yeah,
think
there
of.
was that
on
guy
this
who was
show.
It was like Fear Factor.
Yes,
basically.
Yeah.
yes.
There was that guy who was like, I'm nude and I'm nude so that I can make everyone else uncomfortable. I'm like, my dude, that is illegal. You
Right,
can't
you
do
cannot
that.
do
You
that,
cannot
bro.
do that now.
And now
Um,
Deal or No Deal is trying to take Survivor's clout. They're
Oh, yeah,
doing
'cause they
they're
have No
doing
Deal
Deal or No
Island.
Deal
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Island
Oh,
or
I thought you were
Paradise
going to
or
say
something.
they're all getting nude on
no,
Deal
no,
or
no,
No Deal.
Howie would never.
No.
The banker's nude, like
No, but
his silhouette.
no, he would not.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway.
Okay. But to
How unhinged is the season though? Because
it's
I was
incredibly unhinged. There's a guy in the first episode named Jelinsky, and he thinks that several and
He's a
seven
villain,
are
huh?
the same thing. He thinks that several means seven. And there's
What?
a whole conversation at Tribal.
Well,
about it.
so like
when I
and
think several, I
Don't
think
do this
seven
to me.
or more.
Do not do this.
I usually
to
think
me.
like 10.
It's 3 or more.
Really?
It's beyond a few is several.
I'm about to look it up.
But a few for me is like 3 to 5, bro. Like 1 to 5.
Beyond a few is several.
Let's
We
have a
can't do
neutral
this.
party.
Anyway, I
I'm
only
not
heard
going to do this.
I only heard it was unhinged because I was listening
several
to the
is
besties.
7, 8, or 9.
Absolutely not. No. Revisionist history, bro. That's ridiculous.
History is written by the victors. Moi. Per. You are onto something though, because there are some conflicting sources, but
Conflicting sources?
but Google is biased because it's putting 7, 8, or 9. It says too many, it means 7, 8, or 9, or even 10 or more.
too many. Not, this is what it means.
How do we always get here?
Anyway, this season of Survivor is great. Watch it. I don't want to be on it,
No.
but I do like watching
No,
it.
no. No, I
and
would never want to be on Survivor, like
to
at
kick
all.
to kick it back to anime, if you like the kind of survival pieces, these are obviously 2 more cerebral and serious takes on a group of castaways. But Astra Lost in Space, which is I can't talk about it much without spoiling the core like piece of that show, but it's about a group of kids in space and they have to survive. And that's all you're getting. You should watch it. It's like 12 episodes. And then Sunny Boy, which kind of deals with like students like trapped in a different dimension. And again, can't really talk about it without spoiling anything, but check it out. So Astra Lost in Space and Sunny Boy.
That's the one that I mixed up with Old Boy on a previous episode.
Very
I was
different.
like, you were
Very
like
different.
talking
Super-
about
super
like
different.
like
Super different.
fun, easy anime watches, and I was like, wait, isn't that like super violent? I was like,
Yeah,
so
nope.
confused.
Old
Oh,
Boy
Sunny
is,
Boy's not an easy watch
yeah,
either.
no.
Oh, okay.
But Old Boy is super violent and super traumatic.
Yeah.
At the
I'm
same
sure it's
time.
an easy watch for someone.
I
No.
watch it to go
For
to
someone.
sleep.
All right. At the end of every rec segment, we want to talk about what the fans at home are watching. So this week we've got Beef KT10Z on Crunchyroll, who says, this is going back to the cozy anime recommendations. As a couple of suggestions regarding cozy anime that no one seems to be talking about, I'd put forward the Yuzuki family's Four Sons and Otaku Elf. This one also fits in the reverse isekai and unskippable ending conversations. And then they said they're really enjoying the show, guys. So yeah, shout out Beef. Thank you.
Beef KT10Z is my sleeper cell activation code.
Oh no. And then of course, we've got another one this week from Stripe on Crunchyroll, who recommends The Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten and Kuma 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 Bear.
Yeah. Kuma 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 Chameleon.
Come and go. That's it, right?
You die and you're transported to another world.
It's mailbag time.
We got a reply to a question from a fan on Crunchyroll. So Ephemeral Dragoon 3.
What up?
Who I think we've heard from on the show before. Friend of the show. As for my opinion on traumatic saddest backstory in anime, Guts from Berserk had an absolutely terrible life and is the worst backstory. Yeah, he had it pretty rough.
Yeah, horrible.
For newer anime, probably Denji from Chainsaw Man, with an honorable mention to Spinner from My Hero Academia.
Spinner's story is really sad. And I wonder how they're going to play it out in the anime, because they don't really talk about Spinner too much until you get further into the manga. So I wonder how they're really going to because they kind of allude to it. So I wonder how it's going to play out in the anime.
Yeah, My Hero is one of the ones where I am anime only. So I have not read.
Denji has both a sad backstory and just like a sad currently lived life.
He is just hit every single day with something new.
Doesn't matter. He
perseveres.
He continuously gets JoJo stumped on and, gets back up.
Okay, so first question from this week comes from @MDreamDesignFan on Twitter. What was the most WTF moment of any anime you ever saw?
You don't want to know.
What is it?
They're gonna give an Attack on Titan answer.
Oh, is it Attack on Titan?
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
Oh, well, I'm surprised.
It could be. There's a lot of
a lot of them. One recently, because I just finished it. The last, I want to say maybe 3 to 4 episodes of Metallic Rouge, that actual the reveal you get for one of the characters, plus 2 more characters towards the end is it
maybe
was
I need
really
to finish that.
Yeah, bro, you got to finish it. It was very much oh, I didn't really see it going there. Okay, that's if we're gonna talk recent, super recent, that's kind of stuck in my brain. It's definitely that one.
How about you, Leah?
Maybe the one I'll say is probably the ending of Perfect Blue. That one was pretty what the frick is going on in the best way.
Yeah,
that's such a good movie. But yeah, it's a total spoiler, so I'm not going to say it into the
That's why I'm being very
spoil
vague.
The twist.
Yeah,
that or the ending of Oshinoko episode 1,
which we did spoil earlier.
Which we did, yeah.
Well, I guess we didn't fully spoil it.
Yeah.
There's kind of multiple twists in episode 1 of Oshinoko.
What the tweets?
The reincarnation is not the biggest twist in episode 1.
Yeah.
You're just going to have to watch the show if you guys want to know what we're talking about.
Yeah, this is a big, boring segment where we just tell you a show name.
Yeah, we're just going to be show name, super vague.
So I think I have a recent one too, and recency bias, whatever. But I mean, I guess it's been a few years now. But Decadence.
I didn't see that one. I didn't watch that one.
Decadence kind of sets itself up as just this kind of action drama about this girl who's living on this giant moving fortress. And that's kind of the setup that you get. They fight giant monsters with this giant fortress. There is a twist, I think, in episode 2, which is the biggest hard pivot that I have ever seen in a show to explain why the world is the way that it is. You can't predict it. If I were to ask you guys to try and guess what the pivot is that explains why the world of Decadence is this world where everyone lives on a giant moving robot and they attack monsters.
They're all in a dream, and the main character wakes up at the end. And it's whoa, I gotta go to school.
Wrong.
Nuclear war.
Also wrong.
Oh, okay. Cool.
You guys should watch it. It's a pretty good show. It's a pretty good show. It's also weirdly referenced in the live action Resident Evil show that was on Netflix that bombed pretty hard. Yeah, there's this conversation where I could tell they just Googled new anime, and it was I've been watching the show Decadence on, whatever. And I was like,
Deck Dance.
Decadence. Anyway. Check it out.
All right. And this next question, JB Sven on Apple Podcasts asks Nick directly.
Directly to Nick.
What?
Nick, you were talking about crossover eps, ... If you could make any anime crossover romance happen,
Ooh.
what would it be?
The crossover I want to see is Rent a Girlfriend,
Okay.
Girlfriend,
Okay.
the quintessential quintuplets,
Okay.
the Cafe Terrace and its goddesses,
Okay.
Tenpuru,
Mm-hmm.
Kaguya.
and the 100 girlfriends who really
And all the girlfriends.
Just
will
all of
come
them in
together.
one big show. And it's the same main character from 100 Girlfriends because he's hilarious. That's my fun answer. That's my silly, goofy answer.
Mm.
Gosh, my real one is I don't know if I have one because...
How have you not thought about this?
Well, because romance anime, specifically romance anime and the more romantic elements and not the comedy elements, like they're so unique to their shows because the whole show is about the relationship they're developing with a specific person.
Right.
And so when you think about the whole OTP thing, like it's hard to separate that and think about that person being with another character. That being said, Kazuma from Konosuba and Chika from Kaguya-sama.
Make it happen.
No.
That'd be fun.
I mean, it would just be fun. Like, and I'm not even thinking like in a romantic way. I would like love to see those two characters and their chaos interact with each other. Like seeing Chika in another world, in the Konosuba world, or seeing Kazuma try and go to school with.
They both do the dance.
Yeah, then they would both do the dance. Yeah, this is an interesting question. Thanks, JB Sven. If you guys have romance crossovers that I'm totally blanking on or you think would be a good fit, let us know. Write a exclusively 5-star review on Apple Podcast.
Also share your WTF moments.
Oh yeah, and share your WTF moments. I want to see other massive twists.
I think we had some good ones, but I know we're missing some. So if you guys could fill in that gap for us, I'd really appreciate it. A show too.
I think that does us for this week of this week on the anime.
This was a fun one.
I think that's it. Should be it.
That's all,
Might be
folks.
All right. As always, thank you for joining us for the Anime Effects, brought to you by Crunchyroll and the peeps over at Sony Music Entertainment. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Crunchyroll presents The Anime Effect is hosted by me, Nick Friedman, LeAlec Murray, and Leah President. We are executive produced by Jonathan Hirsch, Shara Morris, Alex Lawless, and me, unfortunately.
No, fortunately.
No,
Aw, thanks, guys. Our lead
We
producer
love
is
you.
Kyla Carnero, and our associate producer is Zoe Culkin. Patrick Emile edited and mixed this episode's audio. Tyler Lucas filmed and edited the video. Our head of production is Sammy Allison. Special thanks to Tamika Balance-Kalasny.
We'll be back next week with more anime, of course.
And there's nothing that you can do about
You're
it.
playing a zero-sum game now. We'll be back.
We're in the end game now.
Later days.
Bye, guys.